So, we always talk about how Tesla is better than every other car company in the world, and there's basically zero real competition in the electric vehicle market, which admittedly can come off as sounding like a bunch of super douchey fanboy nonsense. I get that. And in some cases, we might exaggerate from time to time just to make a point. But in today's video, we are going to cite a few real-world examples from the automotive industry that pretty clearly indicate just how much of an undeniable gap there is between what Tesla is accomplishing right now and what everyone else is even trying to do and mostly failing in the process. So, let's get going. Let's start off with the absolute juiciest gossip in the news right now because, well, it's just fun to talk about, the Porsche Taycon fiasco. According to a report from Teslarati on December 1st, as many as 6 out of 10 Porsche Taycons ever delivered have a problem with battery management that damages the cells and is causing vehicle fires. Allegedly. Now, I do want to stress that all of this is coming from an anonymous source that spoke to a reporter, Alex Voigt, about the issue. These allegations may or may not be true, but this is in the news already, and the more attention we bring to it, the faster we can reach that truth. I say this because I expect that Porsche is about to sue the living shit out of Teslarati, and we don't want any part of that. It's a pretty long article from Alex, but it all basically boils down to Porsche allegedly cheaping out with the onboard charger for the Taycon. This is the component that has to regulate the massive 800-volt architecture within the vehicle platform and distribute power to the battery cells. It appears that the low-quality charger with the Taycon isn't charging all of the cells equally, so a few of them are being overcharged and therefore overheated, leading to cell failure or even combustion, allegedly. It seems that Porsche are keeping this problem secret by performing a quick fix at the dealership during service and not informing the owner about what they are actually doing. In most cases, it's alleged that Porsche will just deactivate the damaged cells and then unlock some unused battery capacity that is reserved in the pack. In other cases, the damaged cells are replaced, but the alleged root cause of the problem is not fixed, meaning that further battery damage will inevitably happen. Again, the owners are never informed of what actually happened to their car or why. Again, quick reminder, all of this allegedly, don't sue us. Porsche uses a high voltage architecture within their Taycon platform. It's double the 400-volt architecture that Tesla uses in all of their vehicles. High voltage systems do offer advantages in an electric car for sure. Faster charging and higher efficiency is the biggest upgrade. Lucid Motors do this as well. They push the Air to a 900-volt architecture, and they seem to have the most efficient EV platform with by far the highest range in the industry. So high voltage isn't bad, it just means that you really need to use high quality components to deal with it. Allegedly, Porsche chose a low quality internal charger that wasn't up to the task, and according to the source, that saved them a whopping $70 a car. Interestingly enough, this battery damage does not occur during DC fast charging sessions. It only becomes a problem during slow AC charging sessions, like when you plug in your car overnight at home. If this report is true, then the faulty charger would be in every single Taycon. 60% of the vehicles have allegedly been affected so far, but in theory, 100% of them would be vulnerable to damage if they use a slow AC charging method. The source alleges that 1% of the 60% of affected vehicles have had some kind of an internal fire. So again, put huge if true brackets around all this, but we don't know. 60% of all Taycons ever sold seems like a huge amount of cars to be having issues. Not that they sell a high volume of those things, but they're still pretty popular for what they are. I see a few Taycons around town, though if the owners are legitimately being left in the dark about both the problem and the servicing, then how would we ever know? It definitely would seem like some corner cutting has taken place here. in my opinion. And if these problems are already popping up in a car that has only been on the market for 2 years, then that would be a pretty big deal. The Tycon has comically low range to begin with at around 220 miles EPA. If they are dropping battery cells on a regular basis in combination with normal battery degradation over time, then these cars would be basically useless within a couple more years, allegedly. Just as an FYI, Stellantis is the name of the new company that owns Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, plus Fiat, and a bunch of other Euro cars that no one cares about. The CEO of Stellantis, Carlos Tavares, has just spoken publicly about the company's electric vehicle approach, and he sounds pretty mad about it. As far as I can tell, Carlos is upset that the company hasn't figured out how to not lose money selling electric cars yet. During a Reuters news conference in late November, Carlos said, "What has been decided is to impose on the automotive industry electrification that brings 50% additional costs against a conventional vehicle. There is no way that we can transfer 50% of additional costs to the final consumer because most parts of the middle class will not be able to pay. It seems our preference to not have the atmosphere filled with toxic gas emissions is being imposed on the auto industry. How dare us?" In fairness, he does have a point that electric cars are going to be more expensive than the average internal combustion vehicle, especially the average Chrysler product. Their whole business model is just cramming humongous V8 engines into the cheapest, flimsiest vehicle they can possibly build. So that's something they might have to work on. But to say that the cost has to go up by 50% is kind of outrageous. There are already a decent amount of affordable electric cars on the market, and many more to come. Even GM has been able to do it with the Chevy Bolt starting as low as $32,000 in the US. Sure, it might burst into flames on you, but it's a great deal. Plus, the US government is about to start subsidizing the cost of electric cars by as much as $12,000, so I don't get what he's so upset about. Carlos went on to say that Stellantis are so hard done by that they will reluctantly have to start putting in effort at the company. He told Reuters, "Over the next 5 years, we have to digest 10% productivity a year in an industry which is used to delivering 2 to 3% productivity improvements. The future will tell us who is going to be able to digest this and who will fail. We are putting the industry on the limits." 10% growth per year is obviously a hardship. I mean, Tesla has committed to 50% annual growth for at least the next 5 years, but sure, 10% is hard. It's not like the company could have possibly seen this coming either. It's not like the exact problem was pointed out by their former CEO 8 years ago or anything, except it was. In 2014, Fiat Chrysler CEO Sergio Marchionne had to literally beg people not to buy the electric version of the Fiat 500 because he couldn't afford to keep selling them. He once said, quote, "I hope you don't buy it because every time I sell one, it costs me $14,000. At the time, a regular Fiat 500 was starting at $17,000 and the 500e was starting at $32,000. So factoring in the extra $14,000 that Sergio said Fiat had to eat on every sale, it somehow cost them something like 3 times more money to build the electric version of their cheapest gasoline car. So I guess bringing the cost excess down from 300% to 50% could be seen as something of a win in that context. Either way, we'll find out what happens in 2024 when Dodge plans to end production of their gasoline-powered muscle cars and replace them with electrics. We're curious to see how that goes. I think there's a pretty significant overlap between people who own Dodge Challengers and people who call electric car drivers snowflakes. The CEO of Honda has also been speaking publicly about electric cars recently as well. Toshiro Mibe says the Honda has plans to go fully electric by the year 2040, which somehow manages to make Dodge look good by comparison. Mibe says that Honda doesn't want to go too fast into electric cars because they might get tired, or something like that. Maybe this just wasn't translated very well, but he was recently quoted saying, "We feel there's a rush to electrification, particularly after Mr. Biden took office, but it's still going to take some time, so we don't want to focus too much effort into it right now and wear ourselves out." Obviously, we wouldn't want them to overexert themselves here. It's not like the planet is dying or anything like that. Honda says that when they do start to make electric cars, they will want to partner with General Motors to help them out. The stated goal of the Honda-GM partnership is to jointly develop vehicles for North America based on a common platform, as well as share electrified, electric, or ICE powertrains. This is the same General Motors that doesn't have a single electric vehicle for sale right now, after the only one that they did have on the market was deemed a fire hazard. This is also the company that apparently is leading the electrification of the auto industry, according to President Biden and, of course, the CEO of GM herself. And to be fair, GM did lead the development of electric vehicles in America long before Tesla ever came along. They immediately kneecapped their own progress as soon as they got the chance, though. But they did have a really great innovation with the General Motors EV1 back in the mid-90s, even though the company spent more effort fighting back against electric car mandates than they did building them. Eventually, GM convinced George W. Bush to reverse the California law that had forced them to make the electric car in the first place, and they celebrated by destroying nearly every single EV1 in existence. They even took back cars from people who had already leased them and crushed the cars. They never let anyone buy an EV1, only lease. So technically, GM still owned the vehicles. Tom Hanks had one, and they even took away Tom Hanks's car and crushed it. It is comical, really, in the way that something can be so sad that it becomes funny. Meanwhile, at Tesla, things are going so well that Elon Musk recently emailed staff and told them they could start chilling out a bit this month and wouldn't have to work so hard to rush quarterly deliveries anymore. And the Tesla Model 3 is not only the top-selling EV in the world, it's actually outselling gasoline cars in many parts of the world. In the United States, the Model 3 is priced at $45,000, which also happens to be exactly the average price of a new car in the USA as of September. So, I'm sorry, Carlos, but it can clearly be done. The other players in the game are just having some difficulties. And honestly, let's hope they can figure it out, because competition is always a benefit for the consumer. Unless you bought a Porsche Taycon, then you might be in for some problems. Allegedly. Here's a question for you. How many car companies will still exist by 2030? Tesla can't be the only one, so who else is going to manage to pull through with them? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. For more Tesla news delivered straight to your inbox, make sure to subscribe to our Tesla Space newsletter. We keep you up to date on all things Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and Boring Company in one quick and fun to read package. Link in the description to sign up. It's theteslaspace.com. And make sure to drag our emails over into your primary inbox so we don't get lost in the promotions tab. Also, don't forget to check out our new Space Race channel and subscribe over there for even more space exploration content. As always, if you want to continue to learn about everything regarding Tesla, SpaceX, and Elon Musk, we've got 2 more video options for you on the screen to check out. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up today if you liked it, and subscribe to our channel for weekly content just like this.